Mama Nkechi Kitchen is a small restaurant that everyone talked about. It was not the biggest or the fanciest, yet it was the most famous. From sunrise to sunset, the aroma of rich spices and sizzling stews filled the air, drawing in people from all walks of life. Taxi drivers parked their cars nearby just to grab a plate. Businessmen in fine suits sat beside market women, all enjoying the same delicious meals. Even strangers who visited the city always seemed to find their way to Mama Nkechi's kitchen, guided by an unseen force. But there was something peculiar about this place. No matter how many people came, the food never ran out. The flavors were always perfect, as if the ingredients had been measured by the gods themselves. And most mysteriously, those who ate from Mama Nkechi's kitchen often left with more than just a full belly. Some claimed they had sudden strokes of luck, a job offer, an unexpected business breakthrough, or even long-lost money returning to them. Others said they found peace, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. A few whispered of strange dreams that revealed secrets they had long forgotten. Mama Nkechi herself was just as mysterious. She was an elderly woman with dark, glowing skin, sharp eyes that seemed to see into people's souls, and a warm, knowing smile. She always dressed in a simple but elegant wrapper, her hair wrapped neatly in a headscarf. She spoke little, but when she did, her words stayed in people's minds long after they had left. No one knew where she lived, no one had ever seen her buy ingredients, and no matter how early one arrived at the restaurant, she was always there, her giant pots already bubbling with food. Some believed she was just a skilled cook. Others whispered that she was sent by the ancestors. But no one, not even the oldest people in the city, could remember a time when Mama Nkechi's kitchen wasn't there. And so, her legend grew. Yet no one knew the true secret of Mama Nkechi's kitchen. Among those who often visited Mama Nkechi's kitchen was a young boy named Chidi. He was not one of Mama Nkechi's customers. He could not afford even a plate of rice. Instead, he worked as a shoemaker near the market, watching people go in and out of the restaurant every day. Chidi had heard so many stories about Mama Nkechi's mysterious restaurant. He had seen struggling traders suddenly make huge sales after eating at Mama Nkechi's kitchen. He had watched a crippled old man walk in with walking sticks and leave with a strong, steady stride. Something about the restaurant was different, and Chidi was determined to find out what it was. On a rainy Monday evening, after the last customer had left, Chidi gathered his courage and decided to approach Mama Nkechi. She was cleaning her wooden counter, humming softly to herself. The restaurant was quiet now, the only sounds coming from the flickering lanterns and the distant chatter of the market. "Mama Nkechi," Chidi said, his voice steady but curious. "Why is your food so special? What do you always put inside it?" Mama Nkechi turned slowly, her sharp eyes studying him. Then she smiled. "Ah, my son," she said, her voice warm but full of mystery. "Food is food. It is the heart that makes it special." Chidi frowned. That was not an answer he expected. He continued, "I have heard a lot of rumors about your food. They say strange things usually happens after they eat your food. Some get lucky. Some remember things they forgot. Even those with troubles seem to find peace." "Is it magic?" Chidi asked. Mama Nkechi chuckled, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Magic? No, my child. It's not magic. When food is prepared with the right hands, it tends to have power. It can heal, it can teach, and it can open the eyes of those who refuse to see." Chidi didn't understand, but he was more curious than ever. He wanted to stay and ask more questions, but at that moment, something strange happened. A cold, mysterious breeze swept through the restaurant. The lanterns flickered, and for a brief second, the entire place seemed to shimmer, like a mirage in the desert. Chidi blinked, his heart pounding. Had he imagined it? When he looked back at Mama Nkechi, she was still smiling, but her eyes held a silent warning. "Go home, Chidi," she said gently. "Some secrets are not meant to be rushed." But Chidi was not the kind of boy who gave up easily. Days later, he made a plan. He planned to hide and watch Mama Nkechi's each and every move. He decided to follow her after she had closed the restaurant. He intended to find out where she went, who she really was, and how her food carried such mysterious power. Chidi had no idea that what he was about to discover would change his life forever. Chidi hid behind a stack of wooden crates near Mama Nkechi's kitchen one faithful night. He wrapped himself in an old cloth, blending into the shadows, and waited patiently as he observed Mama Nkechi's. The market had gone quiet. Most traders had packed up their goods and gone home. The only sounds were the distant hoots of an owl and the occasional bark of stray dogs. Chidi's eyes stayed fixed on the restaurant. He observed patiently for several hours, yet nothing happened. Moments later, Mama Nkechi wiped down her pots, placed the chairs upside down on the tables, and covered the large cooking pots with wooden lids. Just as she was about to leave, something unbelievable happened. The entire restaurant vanished. Chidi's breath caught in his throat. 1 second, Mama Nkechi's kitchen stood there, glowing softly in the moonlight. The next, it was gone, completely gone, as if it had never existed. Chidi rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Is this a dream? He thought to himself. But then he saw something even stranger. Mama Nkechi, now carrying a small clay pot in her hands, began walking down the empty streets. She moved with a grace that did not match her age, her wrapper barely making a sound as she stepped over the rough road. Chidi's heart pounded. Where was she going? And how had the restaurant disappeared? Summoning all his courage, he crept after her, careful to stay in the shadows. For several minutes, he followed her through the sleeping city. Past the closed shops, past the quiet stalls, past the great baobab tree that stood at the center of the market. She walked as if she knew exactly where she was going. Suddenly, she stopped. They had arrived at the river. Chidi crouched behind a large rock, watching. Mama Nkechi knelt by the water, placed the small clay pot on the ground, and began to sing. It was a song unlike anything Chidi had ever heard, soft and deep, old and powerful. It was not in any language he understood, yet something about it felt ancient. It was like the whisper of the wind through the trees, like the call of the ancestors from beyond the stars. The river began to move as she continued. Chidi's mouth fell open as he wondered how the water that was calm just moments ago suddenly began to swirl, forming a perfect circle. A strange golden light shone beneath the surface. Mama Nkechi lifted the clay pot and poured its contents into the river. At once, the swirling water stilled, and the golden light vanished. Chidi held his breath. He was in shock after what he had just witnessed. Mama Nkechi stood up, dusted her wrapper, and turned around. She was looking directly at him. Chidi's heart stopped. Had she known he was following her all along? Instead of looking angry, Mama Nkechi simply smiled, her eyes twinkling with something between amusement and wisdom. "You are a stubborn one, Chidi," she said softly. "Come, you have seen too much to turn back now." Chidi swallowed hard. His feet wanted to run, but his heart told him to stay. Slowly, cautiously, he stepped out from his hiding place and walked toward her.